What's up, everyone? Tomorrow is the big day that everyone has been waiting for. The stock market is set to get extremely volatile tomorrow morning. In this video, we're going to discuss exactly why that's the case, but we also have to talk about why Tesla stock is severely underperforming the market overall and actually tanking down in a big way. And also towards the end of today's video, we have nearly a $2 million trade that happened today. So make sure to stick with us all the way towards the end. But all I'm going to say is tomorrow is about to get crazy. So make sure to stick with us all the way to the end of today's video. But Tom, let's get right into it.
100%. And the market actually did very, very well today ahead of all of the big events going on this week. And we ended up flying to the upside today with the SPY up 1.44%. Even the QQQ is up, and we saw a lot of amazing stocks across many sectors moving up, like Amazon, Apple, and a bunch of stocks like that. Looking at the heat map, it was very green overall. Meta was one stock red. Netflix was down a little bit. But Tesla was the big outlier, in my opinion, today. They were down 6.27% today, Mike. And looking at their chart, that was very tough today. The way that they sold off at open was insane, and they flew all the way down to around 168. That is a very bad drop, and it's not looking good, Mike. If we look at that daily chart, it's starting to look really rough. We're almost down to the lows of the year again, and if we break below that support, it is not going to be good. There is some pretty bad sentiment right now with Tesla, Mike. If we go ahead and look at the article here, there's some pretty crazy numbers here. Like it says, by early November, their approval ratings have fallen to negative 1.4%. Mike, this is pretty insane. What is going on with Tesla?
So the main thing to know is that there is this organization called YouGov. Essentially, they just kind of do a survey of different companies and organizations and see the public's sentiment of that company. Tesla has been in the positive, and it peaked in the positive with a, I guess you could say, a net positive score of 6.7% in May. And then by November, that approval rating actually fell in the negative to negative 1.4%. Now, with that being said, I know Elon Musk has had a bunch of criticism lately related to his comments on Twitter, and Tesla stock is severely underperforming the market right now. If we go back to the heat map, Tom, we can just see, and I know you already covered this a little bit, but it's like Microsoft up 3%, Apple up 1.6%, Amazon's booming, ExxonMobil, Nvidia, like all of these stocks are booming. And not only is Tesla in the red, but it's in the red by over 6%. So really, the only major news to explain this move is just the negative sentiment from, Elon's actions on Twitter, you can say. Personally, I don't feel like that explains the whole 6.7% drop. Tesla, as it is, has had an extremely aggressive valuation. So I think that definitely plays a role into the sell-off. And on top of that, there can definitely be some like tax loss harvesting going into the end of the year with Tesla stock. So it's just like a bunch of factors happening all at once. But either way, it's definitely worth watching because this is a big move.
Yeah, it really is. That is a crazy move to the downside today, and we're about to break a huge support. And looking at that daily chart, Mike, looking at Tesla over the past 5 years, they are still extremely positive. That's one thing I think a lot of people still kind of forget about with Tesla. On a longer term period, they are still doing very, very well, even though they're falling down here in the shorter term. Like you said, Mike, that valuation and the growth that they've had over the past 5-10 years is just utterly insane, especially when it was up at highs. It was one of the highest moving stocks of like the decade. So it's one of the bigger ones out there, Mike. And I know that Tesla has been, talked about a lot, but all stocks go up and all stocks go down. Remember, Mike, even I can't remember exactly when this was, maybe like the .com bubble or something like that. But even remember when Apple fell down to like $1 a share a long time ago. I can't even believe that happened.
Yeah, and even Amazon too. Like Amazon went from like $113 down to like $6 from the high to the low in the dot-com bubble. I know right now it's a little bit skewed because they recently did their split, but you can do the math and check it out. Either way, they fell like by 90%. They fell a ginormous amount. But either way, it goes to show you that even some of the stocks that have popped up the most over the past couple years are struggling even during a time where we have, some of the more traditional, boring businesses and boring companies actually towards their highs. Like I know Walmart, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, and just other, I guess you could say, boring companies are holding up a lot better than some of these high-flying tech companies over the past couple years.
Yeah, they really are. Like, I can't believe some of these safer companies on the market, even like some of these construction companies like Caterpillar, for example, and stocks like that. I can't believe some of the growth that we've been seeing across these sectors. And then even factor in oil, even oil is another sector like that. But yeah, it's been crazy, Mike. I can't believe how much tech has been down, especially this year. Even looking at like Apple and Microsoft, they've had very down years. So I don't necessarily blame Tesla overall, but with them being at such an aggressive valuation, they are going to fall off somewhat more rapidly than some of these, better priced stocks at the time. But looking at that heat map today, Mike, we were green pretty much all across the board. That tech sector was looking pretty hot. And I know that we've been talking a lot lately about these big chip stocks like Nvidia, AMD, and stocks like that. And once again today, we saw Nvidia climbing back up to the upside and looks like it's about to break a nice upper resistance there around 175.50. So I think this will be a pretty cool one to watch for the next couple of days, especially with Powell tomorrow, Mike. This is going to be insane coming up tomorrow morning whenever the CPI reading comes out. Man, this is going to change the whole market dynamic.
Yeah, so tomorrow is one of the biggest days of like the past couple of weeks. And the main reason that tomorrow will be so important is because we have key inflation data set to release. The last inflation reading came in at 7.7% and it peaked at around 9.1% back in June. It's been downtrending ever since, which is good, but at the same time, it's also necessary. These levels of inflation are not sustainable and we need to see inflation drop quickly and consistently going forward, or else there will be some serious problems for the economy and the stock market. The inflation data is expected to come in at around 7.3% tomorrow. So if it comes in lower than 7.3%, that can be an awesome sign. If it comes in higher than 7.3%, initially, that's not a good sign. So keep that in mind. Ideally, we want inflation to come in as low as possible, and that would be a great sign for the market. But no matter what happens, what we do know with 100% certainty is that volatility will control the markets tomorrow. We always see crazy moves during days like inflation reports.
Yeah, we definitely do. The market is going to go insane, and we're going to see a very big jump. And keep in mind, guys, well, it might be a jump or a drop, actually, depending on what happens, but it will happen in pre-market 1 hour before market open tomorrow. That is going to be very important, Mike. And one other thing to kind of add on to this is the percentage on the CME watch tool here. I know that we look at this a lot, and they are pricing in a 74.7% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike on Wednesday. Tomorrow's numbers and readings could definitely change this and skew this. So if we see it come in closer, Mike, to that reading or to that consensus of 7.3% that those analysts have, then I think that the 50 basis point percentage will start to go up and it will look more like, like inflation starting to fall down. Maybe we can start to scale back these rate hikes. But if the inflation stays higher, I would expect the 75 basis point side over here at 25.3% to start to go up. And then, the feds might start trying to factor in a 75 point rate hike. I know this is the big talk of the town right now, Mike, is are they going to go to 50 or are they going to stay at 75? And I think that's going to be the big factor. And tomorrow's reading is going to really play a big role in that. And we're going to see the dollar, we're going to see rates and everything probably have a lot of volatility at least.
True that. So it's like, not only is tomorrow going to be so volatile because we have inflation as it is, but it's also setting up Jerome Powell for his meeting on Wednesday, just like what Tom was talking about. So it's like this week will be extra important because on Wednesday, just like Tom said, we have an interest rate hike, right? We don't know if it's going to be 50 basis points or 75 basis points, but tomorrow the inflation rate will definitely influence that in a major way. Right now, the rate hike is set to be by 50 basis points or 0.5%, but we will see. And I am pumped for this week because we're going to see a lot of crazy moves. And I think the market really needs this because it's been kind of choppy lately.
Yeah, it really has. Like looking at that S&P 500, there has been some opportunities intraday, if you time things up very, very well. But for the most part, we've just been staying down here around 390 to 400. We've been between this ever since December 6th, so about like a week and a half now. So hopefully we can start to get a big break up or down. And I know that we've been watching that channel here on the SPY for a long time, Mike. And you know what? It looks like right now, at least today, we confirmed off that bottom level and got that nice recovery back up. So at least for now, it's good that we're holding, but obviously the next couple days could change things. And if we do end up falling out, that is going to be a very scary and also just a sad thing to watch. If the market keeps falling down here, that's not going to be good. I know a lot of people are hoping for a nice Santa rally heading into this holiday season, and we've already been seeing the SPY uptick quite a bit over the past 2 months. So I'm hoping to could see that nice continuation happen.
Exactly. So that's important. And then at the same time, we have a lot of market moving companies like Amazon, Apple, and many others at key levels. One that I was watching specifically was Amazon. So Amazon is just sitting at a key $90 support right now. It's double bottoming if you look at that daily chart. And it's just at a key level. It's like if the inflation data comes in bad, this thing can just tank down and make new lows for the entire year. But at the same time, if the inflation data comes in good, this could be a pretty nice setup for like a dip buy off support.
Yeah, it really could. Honestly, that support seems very strong down there around 85 to 90. So I'm hoping for a nice hold on Amazon. Amazon is one of my favorite stocks right now that is low, Mike. They've been actually around lows of this year for the past week or so. And even just a few weeks ago, we're retesting lows of the year, even while the SPY was, moving back to the upside. So I've been keeping Amazon on my watch list as well. And I really hope to see it, start to bounce off of some of these supports. And hopefully Powell helps us out. And talking about Powell helping us out, we really need these airlines to get a nice continuation play tomorrow because they have also been on the uptrend, kind of following the market to the upside the past month. But, just like everything else, it's starting to consolidate and get kind of crazy. But we did have that nice upwards move today of 2.87%. And we did have a nice double bottom, really close to like 33.25. So I'm going to keep my eyes on Delta. I really like that uptrend today. And what I love about Delta Airlines is even though Powell's going to speak and he's going to affect the market, he will affect Delta Airlines, but it might not be affected as much as maybe like an Apple will, for example.
Gotcha. So I'm actually taking not a different stance, but we're going to be looking at a stock that will likely be impacted by Powell and inflation data quite a bit, and that is Citigroup. So this is a bank stock, as everyone knows. And with rates the way they are and with inflation the way it is, banks have been looked at very closely. Bank stocks have tanked down a lot of this year, but normally bank stocks have some to gain during times of high interest rates because the higher interest rates are, the more money they will make off of interest and things like that. But either way, I've seen a lot of bullish moves with just the banking industry overall over the past year or so. I know Warren Buffett and a couple other notable investors have been increasing their exposure to some of these financial stocks. But either way, I am watching Citigroup, or ticker symbol C, for tomorrow and Wednesday. C is at a pretty good level. I like it for the long term, but I'm even watching it for the short term right now. It is trying to bounce off that key $45 support, give or take like 50 cents or so. But either way, if inflation data comes in low, that can definitely be a good sign for these bank stocks like Citigroup as well. So it's on my watch list to the upside, but it's not a play where it's just like I'm automatically bullish. It's more so like if inflation comes in good and the market itself is popping up, then Citigroup will be one of the first stocks I look to.
Yeah, 100%. That actually had a really good move today as well. And those banks were really kind of popping off today, especially towards the end of the day. They held up very strong and just kept pushing higher and higher. I also really like that shorter term support down here around 45. I think that's holding up very well, especially when you zoom out. That level looks even better. And that daily, it's just looking really good for some of these banks, Mike. They are very low lately, and it's pretty good to see them, dipping so much. It's creating some pretty good opportunities, in my opinion. But another one that I'm going to talk about, Mike, is going to end up being, I know yesterday you talked about GLD quite a bit. And, I love GLD. I love metals. Now, this is going to be something kind of like GLD and metals, but kind of not at the same time. Now, this is going to be X or US Steel. This company is up 1.57% today. And kind of like my play with Delta Airlines, it's not really correlated to the SPY too much, only 0.54 here over the past year, which is, not the best. When you look at stuff like Apple, for example, it's at like 0.9. So looking at X here or US Steel, I'm liking this setup in the short term. I really like today how it dipped down towards the support close to 25, and we got a really nice bounce back up. So I'll be watching for a nice continuation up tomorrow. I think this could be a possible good play if inflation comes in higher. A lot of these metals and oil and stuff like that have been running up this year or over the past couple of years with inflation getting so high. So if it comes in worse, X might actually be one that does better, in my opinion. So I'll definitely be watching this one.
Sounds good, Tom. I will put it on my watch list as well. But it is now time for the momentum plays. With the first one, we have AAPL to the upside.
Yeah, Apple had a very nice pop up today, and they actually broke above 144, which was a pretty nice short-term resistance I've had, but I also have resistance right at 144.50. So if they can break out above that, watch for the move. I will say though, Mike, pre-market is going to be pretty crazy tomorrow. So if they break 144.50 in pre-market, then watch 145.50. That's another huge level.
All right, with the next one, we have TSLA to the downside.
Yeah, poor Tesla. I'll tell you what, Mike, let's go out on the 15-minute chart on this one because Tesla has been kind of retesting some of these lows down here. If they can break below recent lows around 166.50, watch out below.
All right, then with the last one, we have Amazon or AMZN, and we need both directions.
Yeah, I actually like that recovery back up today on them. Go ahead and make them break out above $91 tomorrow. That's a nice area of resistance. Now, if they fall back down, make them break under $89.50.
All right, we're watching AMZN. If it breaks the upside level, we like it for a day trade to the upside tomorrow. If it breaks below the downside level, we like it for a day trade tomorrow to the downside. Tesla, we are watching that downside level. And then Apple, we are watching the upside level Tom listed. So keep these three stocks on your radar for tomorrow. But it is now time for the smart money trade of the day. Today is pretty interesting. So it's a $1.95 million trade, and we are looking at YOU. So this is very interesting. Basically today, the smart money put $1.95 million into the $34.75 strike call options that expire on May 19th of 2023. For those of you who don't understand options, the main thing you need to know is that the trader in this scenario wants this stock to go as high as possible, assuming they are buying these calls, of course. And basically, the higher it goes, the more they'll make. But what's interesting about this trade is that the trader actually got the most amount of time that they possibly could, and they went out of the money just a little bit. So assuming that they are buying this call option, it is a pretty bullish bet. And at the same time, what's extra interesting about this setup is that YOU is the company behind like those clear terminals that you see at airports. They do like a lot of stuff related to like security and like biometrics and all that good stuff. And what's very interesting is that the term clear airport security on Google has been on the uptrend all year long. So it's a pretty bold trade, and it definitely came out of nowhere. So keep this one on your watch list to the upside.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I really like this support down here at the bottom, obviously, down around $20. Hey, I really hope we don't get down there again, Mike. That would be rough, but they do have a lot of time on that. Like you said, that's a lot of money into those calls. The calls are a little bit out of the money, but honestly, it's not really that far above like, the recent resistance, which is honestly right around where that 34.75 strike is. So looking at the stock, I like it. What I really like the most is just how long it's been consolidating down here. It's almost been in a range between 20 and an upper level of 35 for the whole past year. Ever since the beginning of 2022, it's been kind of stuck down here. So hopefully it's time for a pop up. That's a lot of big money in here. And I really like how it's not overly correlated with SPY either. That helps give me even more confidence, especially, if we fall into even deeper of a recession, as a lot of people are saying we might.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I also like how it's not that correlated with the market overall, just like you said. That's definitely a good trait to have in this market because it's been pretty whack lately. But definitely keep this one on your radar. There is a risk that this could be like a covered call option, but it doesn't really look like it too much right now. So we will see what happens. Either way, keep YOU on your watch list. Some of these smart money plays have been going crazy lately. So keep that in mind. Tom, do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to cover for tomorrow?
Yeah, it's going to be a very crazy day. Guys, keep your eyes on the yields as well. I know we didn't talk about them too much because I feel like a lot of people feel like they are a little bit boring, but keep your eyes on these yields. Obviously, if the CPI reading doesn't come in how the market's hoping, which is lower, we're going to end up seeing these yields probably pop up a little bit. I hope that's not the case, but they were even running up a little bit today. If we look at the 5-minute chart, had a bit of a pop this morning. It opened. So hopefully these yields start to fall back down tomorrow, and then we start to see the overall market pop up. It is going to be a very crazy next few days. Be very careful holding a lot of positions through close and through some of these events. It's going to be pretty crazy. Obviously, if you have long-term positions, that's something else. But Mike, a lot of these shorter-term expirations are going to go insane. I'm sure if the market goes crazy, we're going to see a lot of like 1,000% runners on some of these crazy stocks.
You know it. If you guys like the videos, make sure to subscribe. When you subscribe, you will see our videos recommended to you more often. So definitely make sure to subscribe. We post all the time, but we also want to give a giant shout out to today's YouTube member of the day, and that is GZ. Thank you so much for the comments. You've been pretty consistent, especially over the past year. So definitely keep it up. Tom and I really appreciate it. Huge shout out to GZ. Thank you for the support. Besides that, this week should be filled with volatility, and volatility equals opportunity. So buckle your seatbelts. We're going to see a lot of crazy moves over the next couple days. A lot of big things are happening with the economy behind the scenes. Inflation data is so key. And then, of course, we have Powell speaking too. So it's going to be one exciting week. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Let's have an amazing week.